it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. So I read this article in The Atlantic a couple of weeks ago. Maybe you read it too. And it said that meetings are up 250% since before the pandemic, like 250%. That's crazy. I read this article and I just felt my stomach churning. This article also said that the new productivity peak is 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I've seen this in my clients as well. It's like the calendar is just full, back-to-back meetings all day long, every single day. And the only time to get work done is in the evening. This isn't reasonable. Like, this is not something that's sustainable. This doesn't make for, for anyone just kind of working all the time, doesn't really make for, a great life. Or I guess I shouldn't say anyone. Some people love working all the time, but that's a hard thing. And so I wanted to share with you a simple framework for taking back control of your calendar. And I call this the 5 R's of a calendar audit. And so I want to share with you what that means. So the first thing that you want to do, the first R, is to reflect. And this means that you want to take a look at your calendar, look at all your meetings, especially those recurring ones, because those are the most insidious, right? They take up time week after week after week. And you want to just reflect on which ones are a good use of your time in their current format and which ones really aren't, right? And if you're not sure, you can track this. I'm going to teach you a little secret, a secret code you can use. So basically, anytime you go to a meeting, and it didn't feel like a great use of your time, just change the color of that meeting to gray or some other color you don't use on your calendar. And now, after a few weeks, you'll be able to look back and you'll be able to see which meetings were just not feeling like a great use of your time, and you might be able to better discern some patterns there. Now, once you've reflected and you kind of understand which meetings are and aren't a good use of your time, then we're going to move on to the next steps. So the second R is to remove. So you're going to look at those meetings and you're going to say, okay, are any of these meetings that didn't feel like a good use of my time things that I can just entirely remove myself from? Maybe I have control over the meeting and you don't even have to have it anymore. It could be an email. Maybe I don't have control over it, but I could remove myself because, a whole bunch of other people on my team are already going to this meeting. Maybe you have a direct report you could send in your and to replace you, all sorts of things. Maybe you can just watch the replay on double speed, right? There are lots of things that you could do. We're not going to do this in a vacuum, right? You're going to have conversations with other people to see if, this makes sense. You're not just going to kind of unilaterally remove yourself, but you're going to see where can you remove yourself from these meetings. Now, I suggest when you have conversations with people about changing meeting schedules, et cetera, that you go ahead and use the language of experimentation instead of the language of change. So what I mean by this, nobody likes change, right? We're all resistant to change, but most people are willing to experiment. So if you can approach this by saying, hey, I was wondering, I know we're all super busy, our back-to-back calendars, everything. I'm wondering if we could experiment with moving this meeting, the status update meeting, to an email or to Slack for a month, and just seeing, does that give us what we need? And if it doesn't, no problem. We will come back and we'll come back to this meeting. But I wonder if we could try it a different way. Most people are going to be way more open to that experimentation with an end date than they are to just changing it. So you're going to see what you can remove. Now we're going to go on to the third R. The third R is to reduce. So the 2 levers that you have around reducing meetings are typically around frequency and around length. So length is a pretty easy one. I think most people are getting used to the idea of speedy meetings in Google Calendar, or it's called end meetings early in Outlook. And these are just settings that allow you to have 1-hour meetings that are 50 minutes instead, or 30-minute meetings, they're now 20 minutes. Those aren't the only times available. You might say, we have this meeting on our calendar and it's an hour long every week. Maybe we could do it in 35 minutes, right? So try to reduce in that way in terms of length. And you can also think about reducing in frequency. So you can say, well, we have this meeting every week, but what if we had it only every other week or once a month? Would that still give us what we need without taking that time on our calendars? Again, you are not going to unilaterally make all these decisions. If other people are involved, and they usually are when it comes to meetings, you're going to want to use that language of experimentation instead of the language of change. This can be an easy one as well, because I think most people are experiencing the same thing. And if you say, hey, can we try making this meeting shorter? Most people aren't going to be like, no, we run a long meeting, right? So it's a little bit easier than you might think. Now we are going to get to the 4th R, and the 4th R is to rearrange. And so the 4th R assumes that you've got the right meetings on your calendar right now, right? So you've removed things, you've reduced things, and now you've got the right meetings on your calendar. What does your calendar look like? Does it look like Swiss cheese? Is it just like all these meetings and then you've got holes of half an hour where you can't really get into any work anyways? So if you have that going on, then you're going to want to rearrange and move things around as you can to free up larger blocks of time for yourself to protect for that deep work that you need to get things done. Again, you're going to use experimentation language instead of change, because moving these meetings is going to be something that affects other people, right? Now, you might be thinking you could think a lot of big things here, right? You might be wanting to have a no meeting day. And I am willing to bet that your team wants to get behind that too, right? So we're going to be sort of suggesting some changes that could work for everyone, not just for you, right? Or some companies I work with, they have maker mornings where they don't have any meetings before noon, et cetera. So there are lots of different ways you could do that. If you're a manager, you might consider moving all of your back-to-back or all of your one-on-ones back-to-back on one day, with whatever buffer you need, of course. And so really be thinking about how you can make your schedule work really well for you. And then what is that fifth R, right? Because it doesn't seem like we've gotten through everything. Well, we have, but the fifth R is to repeat. So just because you have done this once doesn't mean your calendar is going to stay nice and squeaky clean forever. You got to do this every once in a while. Personally, I do this every 3 months. When I'm doing my quarterly planning, I also take a look at my calendar. I do a little meeting audit, because we live in a world of, entropy, right? We live in a world that zooms towards chaos. And so our calendars, they are going to get out of control again, and that's fine. You just want to have this meeting audit scheduled so that you can make sure that you are constantly kind of cleaning and refining your calendar every few months to make sure that it still works for you. So if you are feeling extreme meeting overload, then remember these 5 R's. You've got reflect, remove, reduce, rearrange, and repeat. And if you do those things, it's a simple thing to remember. It's not always so easy to do. Simple and easy aren't the same thing. But if you can do those over and over again, you will have a schedule that is much more in tune with what actually works for you than what just works for everyone else, or maybe doesn't work for those people. So tell me, have you done it? Have you done a meeting audit before? Are these steps helpful? Is this something different than how you've done it before? Let me know in the comments what has worked for you.
Hello, do more stress lessers. I just want to quickly say about 1.5 inches below your screen, if you're full screened, unfull screen for me, and about 1.5 inches down, you will see the subscribe button. If it's red, you want to make it gray. All right, you hear me? You want to make that red button turn gray. All right, and we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers and 400 hours of watch time. So watch the video a lot of times. Like play it on repeat when you're sleeping. Yeah, so just watch, because then we can monetize our videos and we can start pumping out better videos. I know you guys want better videos, so yeah, and then like the video, and yeah, I mean that's all my do more stress lessers.